It's time for Ralph and Vicki's Off-Grid podcast with your host, outdoor writer Pete Rogers. We're coming to you from the Hunter's Blend Coffee Studio. Hunter's Blend Coffee, defending hunting one cup at a time. Now, let's get into this week's show.
Welcome back to Off-Grid with Ralph and Vicki. I'm your host, Pete Rogers, and today's podcast, we're going to talk about the Illinois whitetail season that we've had so far. Ooh. So, Ralph, Vicki, tell me how your season's gone so far.
My season's gone absolutely horrible.
Can we say suck?
Me or the deer?
Yes, we can.
Me or the deer?
No, your season. It's been really rough.
You know, it's for whatever reason here at home, actually, I have put time out. I have spent a lot of time out in the stands and in the blinds. However, Illinois and me, I mean, I'm born and raised here. Illinois and I just don't get along. I will have a great year. And last year I shot a beautiful 8-point here. Mm-hmm. Beautiful 8-point early season. And that means this year I won't shoot anything.
No, don't say that. It's not over.
So you're an every other year kind of killer, huh?
I'm like every other 5 years.
We're changing that. I'm
an every other 5 years.
She's gone multiple years. You know what I mean? And
really?
But you know what? I think everybody can relate to that. Mm-hmm. You know, there can be the day from hell where everything you do goes totally wrong. Nothing works. The wind shifts. You climb out. You go to another stand. You drop your release. You forget this. You don't do that. And all of a sudden, you look down and there's your buck. Yeah. How did he come? Why did he come? The wind's blowing to his direction. You know what I mean? And you shoot him. And in those 2.5 months that you've been killing yourself, you forget all about, you know what I mean? The hundreds of hours in the stand, the food plots, doing everything. And it's like, but Vicki, it's really, really.
And it always has been. Ralph will shoot a buck just about every year here in Illinois. He just does. I average about 1 buck every 3 years in Illinois. I'll shoot some does. I don't know. Last year
that means Ralph's just a much better hunter than you are.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you for pointing that out. You know,
I'm just saying.
I really didn't want to go there. I didn't really want to go there. You know,
us guys got to stay together, Ralph.
Oh, buddy.
I go out. I always.
That's why you're hosting this, buddy. That's
Ralph
why.
always tells me he puts me in the best stands. Obviously, I don't. He doesn't because I would fill a buck tag every year here in Illinois.
Oh my gosh, Pete, you've been here now. You know you have celebrated and cherished the times at the Cianciarulo household. That
I have.
What is the first Vic? What I ask her every day. Where do you want to go? I don't say I'm going here.
I don't know that I want to get in the middle of this.
Yeah, you coward, man.
I don't think I want to get in the middle of that.
Oh my gosh.
However,
Honestly,
that is true.
Yes, thank you.
So here's the thing, though. Seriously, I think like last year, it was early. It was the end of October.
End of October.
Early season here. RJ and I, we were out on 33. We knew there were some deer coming through the food plot, and the beautiful 8-point I shot, we never even had on film. It happened. Everything was awesome. We couldn't believe the deer showed up, the whole 9 yards. This year is like my normal years.
Yep.
I go out, and I can't, I pick on the cameraman, so this year I have Andrew, and I'm blaming him. It's his fault that I'm not shooting a buck.
We'll get to that in a minute, because I think there's something to that.
The poor guys aren't here to defend themselves.
I do have to go back to about 3.5 weeks ago, though. I did have an opportunity at a buck. He did come in. I was so excited, and I just wanted it so bad. I shot and dropped my arms so bad, I missed him.
You missed him?
So I did miss a deer, a buck this season. I did. Honestly, it happened. It was the only
There's a very special ambience in this room because I actually
admitted it.
No, I actually feel like it happened to somebody else in this room, not me.
There's plenty of things we can discuss here, and I think we should leave that here for a moment, Pete. But
we'd never throw Pete or anyone under the bus.
Ralph already has one of his buck tags in Illinois filled.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us about your hunt.
Yeah, I want to hear about that hunt.
Tell us the details, Ralph. Tell us the details.
Tell us about your hunt here in Illinois.
I have to tell you.
Now, just for the listeners who aren't familiar, bow season opens October 1st.
October 1st. And it goes through January 15th.
Okay. All right. So
except for during the 2 shotgun season.
And the muzzleloader season, but you
You can
yeah.
bow hunt during muzzleloader
all right.
season.
So season opened October 1st.
Yes, and we were on the road. You know what I mean? We were doing what we do. But we finally got back, and we checked all of our cameras, and
the game cameras to spy point.
Yep. And we checked all the cameras, and we pretty much, because you're here, because we live here, you're able to pattern the deer. Mm-hmm. We don't own any big tracts of land. We own a small little 33 here, a 20 here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we know the bedding areas.
You've been here a long time, many years. You've hunted the same property for 20 years, so you kind of learn that over time as where the deer bed, where they travel, all those kind
where you don't walk into unless you're trailing a deer. You know, I mean, you just leave those places alone.
Okay.
And we set our sights. We want to try to shoot the biggest, just like anybody. You know what I mean? But the reality of it is, when you don't own a lot of land, I had a particular deer that I was hunting last year. All of last year, and I didn't fill my tag. I really set my sights. You
were going to shoot him or nothing else.
Yes, and I passed up a bunch of deer that I regretted January 16th. You know what I mean?
And then after that season, though, after last year's season, you said that's it. First deer that comes by, I'm shooting it. He goes, I don't care.
I'm done.
What it is. He didn't follow through with that promise, though. He did.
Yeah, but the first decent bug that came by, you were able to.
No,
or so.
No, he passed.
Yeah, maybe not the first, but it took a few.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. But ended up, we had a good northwest wind, and then it was going to change more to the west. So we have a standing bean source, small little patch there, and got in on the backs, on the downwind side of the bedding area.
Okay.
And had deer started to come out. And
so you were in the timber or hunting the food source, or in the transition?
I was actually. I'm right on the corner.
Okay.
Of where they come out of. Their bedding area, their timber, Osage, and all that, and they come out of these draws and they work their way to the food source.
Okay.
I'm 20 yards off the food source, but I'm trying to set up for the wind.
Sure.
Had the deer coming out and had the does and had this buck right, following her, and he came in. I ranged him at 32 yards.
Was this pre-rut?
No, this was rut. The rut was on.
Yeah, I guess
they were breeding. Yeah.
Okay,
they were rutting.
So during the rut period, which was the end of the month.
Normally last year we actually filmed a buck mounting a doe on October 24th.
Okay.
And again, I will tell you that we had breeding the same time.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah, it was on. It was on.
That's about the same time it is at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Normally,
October 20th to November 10th is our peak.
Normally, we roll a little closer to November.
Yeah. Normally, you'd see it, but the past few years, it's been a little bit earlier.
Okay.
And he came out, and I arranged him at like 32, and I had my new RX3, my new Hoyt, and I was dying to let an arrow fly. You know what I mean? I was really like, I want to get one. And
at 32,
at 32 yards, and he came out, presented a shot. And, I was fortunate enough to zip him, and we actually watched him. He ran about 50 yards and piled up.
Oh, that's cool. And you got to see him fall down and everything too?
Yeah.
I always like that. I always like, I still enjoy the blood trailing, but when you know where they are.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it a lot easier.
It makes it a lot less stressful.
So it was fun, and to do it at home and to have it all come together was pretty cool. And then in what we do, the trials and tribulations, I looked up and my camera guy was like, oh yeah. And something wasn't right. And I said, well, all right, after we done everything, I goes, why don't you play it back? And
he doesn't know about this.
I don't know about this.
He's like,
double hitched.
He didn't get the shot.
So he didn't get the shot on camera.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So, and he was sick, and I was sick, but
oh my goodness.
As they say, S happens.
In the television world, that's because you need, just for the listeners,
it happens.
Is that, on your shows, when people watch the television shows, they want to see animals be taken.
They want to see them get hit. Yeah, absolutely.
And one of the things that people don't realize is that every animal you shoot at on camera is not always hit. Everyone's not hit well, and sometimes it's not even recorded.
Well, and that's
You
what
have everything right, but the guy makes a mistake.
it's a team effort.
Yeah.
Pete, and I mean, and here's what I told him.
Which I've learned that this week since I've been here.
And he was sick. I mean, and I'm like, here's the deal. I said, you got to understand something. I said, if I made a bad hit, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here. We're not going to, you're not going to get mad at your I mean, it happens.
It happens.
Or do you feel bad? Yes. I mean, we all feel bad because everybody's given their all.
Put so much time out there trying to get it, and it finally comes to and something happens. Whether, like Ralph said, whether it's the cameraman or whether it's us as the hunter, something goes wrong.
It's important,
it is what it is.
And I think it's important for people who are listening to realize is that you don't, just because you're a television hunting couple, you don't kill a deer every time you go out.
No, sir.
No.
You don't kill a deer every 5 times you go out.
No.
I mean, every 10 sits, you don't.
I don't know how many hours.
Here's what I think, Pete, really what people need to look at. Seriously, go to your state regs and see the success percentages.
Yeah.
And then start to realize you're doing nothing wrong when you go 2 weeks and you don't shoot an animal.
That's exactly right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Be realistic. Our problem is TV today. Social media makes everybody think that they go out and shoot a Boone and Crockett deer or an elk or what.
Or even just fill a tag. I mean,
That doesn't happen.
No.
The reality of it is we're hunting. And that's what we're doing. We're hunting.
And you make it more difficult when you have an extra person in the tree with you.
Double the scent,
And
quadruple the movement.
The movement.
How about the images up there? Or, just everything about it. And I mean, we're not complaining. We love it. We've done it. I've done it practically our whole lives.
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, as somebody who's new to hunting with a camera guy, I mean, I've never done it until I came up here to hunt with you guys.
And now you've seen.
And you see that you get to your tree and it's 10 minutes before I can even climb up because they're getting all that stuff ready. It's so much stuff they have to take with them.
Yeah.
With camera arms and cameras and different angles and it's just a lot of stuff. And I'm just down in the tree waiting to go up the tree.
You just need to whip them a little harder. That's all.
Yeah, that's all.
I'm ready.
Get moving.
I'm ready.
But that's the part of a lot of people don't understand.
They don't.
You know what I mean? And we're not. Boo-hoo us. That's not what we're doing here.
Oh, right.
We just would like everybody to realize, I mean, and look at the guys and the girls that actually do a lot of self-filming. Think of that.
Oh,
that's even tougher.
I don't know how they do it. I don't.
No.
There's so much going on.
I'll be honest. I've tried it, and I wanted to throw all that stuff right to the ground and just keep, because it's just so much.
It distracts you from you actually hunting.
Well, your neighbor yesterday had he was self-filming.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
Ben. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was self-filming, and I was
And he did a dang good job.
Did a really good job. When I saw the film, I said, "Dang, how do you? Is he into frame? Is it focused? Now I got to draw my bow."
But that distracts you from the hunting. Too.
See, we still enjoy the hunting aspect, and that part would not make it as fun.
Yeah,
when we have a camera guy, it makes it a lot easier, and we're just fortunate to be in the position we're in. That we've been so established that we are able to have camera guys.
That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, will the day ever come we're not filming? Probably. But I will tell you this: I'm going to enjoy it. However. It really is nice to be with someone and share that moment.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Like when her and I are hunting the wilderness or something together, I love it. I don't care if I ever shoot another thing. I have so much fun with her, and I mean, I drive her. I push her, I'm like, hey, and she'll be, when I get that look, but I give that look to her too. Oh, yeah.
No, you never want to be with Ralph when he gives you the hairy eyeball look. No, it's bad. You can ask all the guys in the office. You don't ever want that. You do something, he just looks at you. Actually, he has made me the better hunter that I am because of him. When we're hunting and filming together over all the years and everything like that, he's taught me everything. He really has. Like if you look as a mentor, he's my mentor. Right. Okay, so I give you total 100% on that. I mean, that's what it is.
That's been recorded now.
Don't fight. Don't fall over. Don't fight.
Wow.
But his hairy eyeball, if I'm filming him, and I barely move, and I didn't even really make a noise, but I moved, and he looks up at you like, you should die now.
Okay.
You just get like, oh my God.
Whoa, okay, wait a minute.
Whoa.
But like
what?
it's made you better, but also
Yes.
let's ask everybody out there, especially bow hunters, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're walking through Bass Pro Cabela's. You see a new reel treat that you're like, oh man, I want that. You know what I mean? What's the first thing we do? You walk up to it and you go,
You feel it.
you rub it together. Is it
Rub my
making
back.
noise, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to give me a back rub there.
No, I'm not gonna give you a back rub.
I thought that's what
Yeah, you want to know how soft it is, how loud it is.
I
How loud?
want to know how quiet it is.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, so when you're in a stand, you're sitting in a ground block, whatever it is, you're sitting there and you want to be as quiet as possible. And then you hear shh, shh.
Well, see, but here's the problem.
Oh, then
is if you are out there with two people, so if I'm the hunter and the camera guy, whoever it is right here
Right
by
by
my
your
ear.
And they're scruffing against
you
the bark
hear
of the tree.
But you hear it, the
everything.
animals don't
The
hear it.
animals probably don't hear it, but you hear it because it's right here next to your ear.
Mm-hmm.
So then you're just like, oh my gosh. And now I give hairy eyeballs. So it's like contagious. So you got to be careful with that.
We'll be right back with more Ralph and Vicki's Off-Grid podcast with your host, Pete Rogers. Welcome back to Ralph and Vicki's Off-Grid podcast with your host, Pete Rogers. We're coming to you from the Hunter's Blend Coffee Studio. Now, let's get back into this week's show.
I have no idea what a hairy eyeball it looks like.
It's a look that
I've
you
never
don't.
heard that saying before.
Yes, no, Ralph gives you an
That's
evil.
obviously
an
a
evil,
Midwestern saying.
It's an evil eye. It's an
hairy
he
eyeball.
will look at you like you feel like you should just be buried at this point.
See, we call it the stink eye.
It's a stink eye. It is. I call
much.
it a hairy eyeball.
Or stank
an
eye.
evil
It
eye.
depends on where you're from.
It's like,
The stank eye, the hairy eyeball.
Yeah.
and
It's the
okay.
same thing. Yeah.
I could.
So tell us about your deer. All right. So, I mean, because people who are listening are interested. What kind of, I mean, was it a 6-point or a 4-point?
A 9.
It was
a nice 9.
It was
Yep.
a 9?
Yep.
Good.
You know what I mean? Just a good old good deer.
Good deer. Good.
You know, and we're like everybody. If you're able to see a few different deer, you know, you say, well, you know, he might be one we want to take out. You know what I mean? Because you're trying to do management. But here's the deal with management, and I might piss some people off here. I think I'm gonna. But hey, if you don't own a lot of land and you don't have the landowners around you to assist with the management,
Exactly right. Yeah.
it ain't never gonna work.
It's never going to work.
Never going to work.
No.
We're here to tell you, if you don't, just go out and have a good time. Fling your arrows, shoot your deer.
Have
you know,
fun.
and if you're shotgun hunting, shotgun or rifle, shoot, enjoy the hunt. Get, you know,
If it's a
try
good
to
deer
feel
for
that
you-
tag.
Whatever it is.
If it's a good deer for you, it's a good deer.
That's
Yep.
right. Fill the freezer up.
Yep. It's
I
I
mean-
mean, and that's the thing. This is why I tell people to hunt with us. If it's going to make you smile, then kill it.
Then that's it.
So
If it's going to make you happy, then kill it.
so yesterday afternoon,
Yes.
we go out, okay? And it's yesterday afternoon, just, I know this is going to sound weird because it's a podcast, but so yesterday afternoon was the day before second shotgun season
Right.
here in Illinois. Okay, so shotgun season started here today
This
in
morning.
Illinois, okay?
Okay.
So as a podcast, it sounds kind of weird because I know you're going to be listening at any point in time in the year, but anyways.
Yeah.
So
It's a story.
It's a story. So Pete's been coming up and we've been filming these podcasts and getting the stuff done and, you know, doing stuff. And he has an Illinois tag. So we told him, like, get a tag. And
Yeah.
so he bought a tag. And the first time he came up and we filmed a podcast. And now we're filming podcasts again. And, you know, in the afternoon, we go out hunting. And Ralph, you didn't go out hunting yesterday afternoon, but I went out and Pete went out.
Well, we were down a cameraman. So I took
Right.
I
Right.
took one for the team.
took one for the
whatever.
team.
He
I
took
did.
one for the team.
I took one for
So anyways, I went out in my stand and I normally see, and I see what I normally see. I get put in daycare stand. I get all
but-
button bucks and little fawns and
Okay, but wait a minute.
all
How
day
many
long.
deer did
before
you
that-
see?
Oh, I
But
saw
before
like
that-
20 bucks or 20
You saw-
deer. Yes, no.
Yeah, but before that, the day before, I was in the same area
Right.
And we
But
saw
you
some really nice bucks in that same area.
Exactly. But then
mean,
I show
some
up and I
big-
say,
That's your luck in Illinois.
that's my luck in Illinois.
That goofy racked buck showed up yesterday.
And we didn't
or
see
day
him at all.
before.
Would you shoot him?
I will totally shoot him.
That was a cool looking buck.
100%.
He's
I
a
will.
big
was
old
a
body.
He is
cool
so
looking
cool
buck.
that this buck he's got on his one side goes up to a giant fork and
About
he just stands up
24
straight.
inches tall,
Yeah. And the
goes
other
up.
side's like a 5-point.
He's
Yeah.
really
He's
cool.
He's a really
He's
weird
a really
looking deer.
cool looking buck.
But anyway, so I went and I sat in the stand in there. You know, we've got fresh snow on the ground, like 12 inches of snow on the ground,
Sure.
12 plus inches of snow on the ground. We sat out in the stand and I had daycare. Pete, we went and we had Pete go
By
sit in the middle
daycare,
stand.
what she means is a lot of yearlings came
So
out.
yeah, a lot of button bucks, a lot of the yearling fawns. They're
Yeah,
all
small,
out there.
everything way too small. You
Yeah,
know.
and the thing is that I did see one mature doe.
Okay.
The mature doe, she didn't even come close enough to shoot, but we've seen her all season, and I've had multiple opportunities at her. However, she has a really late dropped fawn,
Oh, 2.
but 2.
Yeah.
She only had one
Yeah, well,
yesterday.
I saw them the day
Yeah,
before.
she only had one yesterday.
Well, they were both there yet the day before.
Okay, maybe she just wasn't. The
Oh.
other one wasn't there because one's a little button. and
They're
one's-
small.
They're small.
They're
real
they're
late,
40
late
pounds.
really,
I mean,
really,
they're-
really small. So I'm just like,
Yeah.
there's other big mature does around here. And
Yeah.
so I'm waiting for a big mature doe or a buck to shoot, and I just don't get it. So anyway, we put Pete out here in the middle stand.
Well, we put Pete in a different situation. We
Right.
had you over a food source, which normally is this time of year. Really,
Because of all the snow.
we wait for late season. Late season, I've always related that to. We finally get snow. Our food plots are, we have our HS food plots. We have some of our rackology stuff out there. I mean, we have all of this stuff out there. And, and our standing beans or standing corn.
Right.
You have this food source.
So you have snow earlier this year than you normally do.
Absolutely.
We usually get a little bit of snow and then it
not
melts, and
like
a little bit of
this.
snow and it
Oh,
melts.
there's still 10 to 12 inches on the
Oh
ground.
yeah. We got hit hard this week. Yeah.
That's important for the listeners to know what we're talking about.
And so normally, once our late season's in, you get in your stand between, depending on your movement and how your weather's going, but normally we'll be in the stand by 1:00 in the afternoon, and we sit, till dark.
Now it gets dark at 4:30, 5
Yeah,
o'clock.
4:30.
it's
Yeah,
dark.
and I mean,
we're northwestern Illinois.
Sunset, I think, is at 4:36, at 4:36,
And-
4:30,
and the law
you
is
have
30
a
minutes.
half
30
hour
minutes
after
after.
sunset.
Okay, so by 5:06 or so, 5
You're out.
o'clock-ish,
You're packing up and getting
even though
out.
you might can see, the law says you have to be done.
Especially with all that snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked to see that
Yeah,
as well
yeah.
because I've never hunted and stuff.
So normally that's what we're doing, in during Christmas and beyond.
Okay,
But now it's November. We are doing our winter strategy,
right.
and don't want to can't get in there to bump them in the morning. So
Even though it's not late season enough
No.
that you'll let us use
No,
a
sir.
heater in the blind,
No.
no, you can't use
No.
it.
even though it's so cold.
No, you
No, it was
suck it
beautiful
up.
out last
Come on.
night. Come on. So anyway, let's go into what we're trying to lead up to. So
Yeah, so
yesterday,
what we did-
Pete was successful.
Yes, we put Pete. We actually had him in a transition area.
Right.
In other words, we have one of our plots, to the north of you, and then we have the neighboring property where they have a bedding area.
That was over to the right.
On there. Yep.
Yeah, which is
and there's
south.
a plowed field,
Right,
ag
right.
field.
Yeah.
They plowed it. So really there's no food source deer, but the deer, as you saw,
Yeah.
the deer are going to walk the edges. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, so what happened?
Yeah, tell us your story.
Well, I want to back up a little bit to what we talked about earlier about how you got to sit a lot to have a chance when you're bow hunting. When
You really said a lot.
When I was up here a few weeks ago, a month ago, sometime in October, we hunted every day.
Yeah.
Mornings and afternoons.
Tons of
Mornings and
deer,
afternoons.
but did not have anything that would come into bow range.
Yep.
I mean, we saw one day in the beans, we saw like 30 something deer out there at one time, and none of them in range. So it's not a slam dunk at all.
No.
Not at all.
No.
So yesterday, I'm from South Carolina. I get to hunt the snow. I'm really excited. We
Your
don't
first
You
time.
were really
First time I've
excited.
ever hunted in the snow. It was so cool. So Chad and I went over here to the middle stand, I think
Right,
you
middle
call it.
stand. Just so you know, that's one of Vicki also calls that her stand too.
She
It's my
said it was
stand.
one of her favorite stands.
Yeah,
It is.
Yeah.
I like that stand.
Really, she has pretty much every stand is one
No,
of her.
I
she
just
gets
have
to
a
pick.
couple.
Yeah.
I have a couple. My favorite.
So, but it's in the timber. Every other time I've hunted a food source. So this was in the timber, which is more like what I'm used to at home. So it was really nice. And of course, we're trudging through there in the snow, and I'm having to move slow because of my back that I've hurt. And we get up in the stand, and I don't know, how cold was it yesterday?
It was actually when
In
we
the
went
teens?
out.
It was in the teens, wasn't it?
No, I think it was
22.
like 22 or 23.
It was 22 degrees.
But I think
22,
the feel like
yeah.
was.
But there was a lot of moisture in the
Yeah, it
air,
was-
so
It was
biting.
pretty damp, but the wind was pretty.
But we was
calm.
bundled up good, but I could. But for Pete,
Layers.
keeping my fingers warm because I shoot a thumb release. I have to have my thumb exposed, so I had it in my pocket, my hand warmer, and everything else was fine thanks to that Browning coat you let me wear. It was really nice and warm.
That sucker's warm,
That sucker
ain't it?
was warm. And I had my heated vest, but it was so far in there, I couldn't find a way I couldn't get it turned on. But anyway, so we're sitting in the stand. I think we got in the tree at 2:00. It's when I sat down, found out I had all my stuff, organized, and we were sitting there looking, and man, it was just so quiet and peaceful, and
Gorgeous in the
just
snow,
beautiful,
isn't it?
just beautiful. And those booner squirrels were everywhere.
Oh,
They have
yeah.
got the biggest squirrels here. I cannot wait to go squirrel hunting up here.
We have too many.
Gamos, baby.
Yes, sir. But maybe 40 minutes into it, I caught some movement over to my right, and there were deer running through that plowed field, coming in towards us into the woods. It was 4 does and a little buck. And that little forky came in with 22 yards, I think I ran.
And they were heading north.
They were running from something, and they came to the woods. As soon as they hit the woods, they stopped.
Yep.
And then they came towards us.
That on those green leaves on those bushes.
Yeah, whatever
yep.
those things are. And then they came and
Honeysuckle.
and they just fed around and went back behind us. So that was pretty cool because I got a chance to to range them and get all my spots
And see 'em
on
in the
them.
snow.
And see them in the snow.
They're
yeah,
awesome. I
and
love
it's
the
so
snow.
cool that you can see movement at such a long distance.
Yeah, in the snow, it's crazy.
And we had a lull, as like normal. And I said, oh, Chad, here comes a deer. And then these does were coming directly in front of us. And it was a yearling at first, and then another yearling, and then Big Mama. I was like, oh, I'm going to shoot her.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
Yeah.
she gets 38 yards, and she
wide.
turns and goes up towards that plow field and walks all the way around the edge of the field and goes around us. So I'm like, dang it, I was really hoping to finally get an arrow into something.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just sitting there for a while and just looking around, and it's almost like that sixth sense we were talking about. I just thought I might have seen something. I pulled my binoculars up and I saw antlers coming through the tree. I said, Chad, buck. So I stood up which was hard because there's no cushion on the seat and my clothes were
That's 'cause
freezing to the metal.
You know those booner squirrels you were talking about? They ate all of our
ate all
Have
the
you not
seeds.
noticed that?
My clothes were sticking to the seat, so I had to be real careful when I stood that I didn't get sound. So anyway, I did that. I got the seat out of the way, and the buck was coming. It was a nice, looked like a 10-point. Mm-hmm. I said, Chad, I'm gonna shoot him. If he comes in range.
Don't you mean try?
I think attempt to.
I'm going to attempt to shoot.
Okay, there
I'm
you
going
go.
to swing an arrow.
You want to make sure you
So
talk
I'm
truthful
building
here.
it up. I'm building it up. So he's coming through, just taking his time. But if he stays on his path, he's going to cross directly in front of us, right into these nice open shooting lanes. And I thought, this is going to be perfect. And you know how they do when they're
It's
not.
going to be easy.
I didn't think that.
You thought it. You thought it.
I thought if he comes here, that'll be a slam dunk shot.
There you go.
But that would have been the 22-yard shot. But he stayed out a little further. And interestingly, when we walked in, there was a bed right beside or 5 yards from our tree, and another bed out in front of us where the deer had been laying. I'd never seen a bed in the snow.
So the timber behind you, just so you know, the timber behind behind you where you were sitting is actually, we call it sanctuary. We don't go in there.
Okay.
Don't do it.
So that's why there's so
You're talking only 20 acres.
And actually, our little sanctuary there is only 10.
And
We shut that down.
The trails coming out of
And
there
that's
are
why.
just insane.
And that's why.
It's hard. You know what I mean? It
No,
really
it
is
is.
hard for people. If you own 10 acres or something or 20 acres, you want to hunt it all. But trust me and believe this. We have proof for all these years.
Yeah.
If you can shut that down, Go in there. I topped a few trees. I laid them down. I gave more cover. We got water in there. And we do not go. We only go in there, Pete, if we have to go recover something.
Now, do you have like man-made water or natural water?
On a drainage, I went and I backhoed it out.
Okay, so you create a little pond
there's usually water in there.
We had talked about that in another podcast about building water for animals.
Water is something that people don't understand the value.
They really don't.
No.
But anyways,
they really don't. So the bucket's coming from my right to left. All right. Yeah, from my right to left.
Yeah.
And so I got my rangefinder. I'm ranging everything, 28, 32, 31, 30, so I'm ready. And I'm using that Range Rover Pro, the Archer's Choice Edition. Mm-hmm. So my first time hunting with a single pin. I've used them for years for target and stuff, but so I'm like, okay, set it at 30 because he's going to be right in that lane. He gets to some of those green leaves that you're talking about at 32 yards, and he's just eating. I'm like, okay, well, there's one little...
So he's calm. He doesn't
know
you're there.
No idea that we're there. So I had to scoot over to the edge of my stand to get my Range Rover Pro set at 32. I whisper to Chad, are you ready? He says, whenever you are. So I'm like, so I draw back. I put it right on his front leg, and I shoot a foot over his back.
I'm sorry, can you say that slower?
I shot a foot over his back.
Oh my God.
So what happened?
And that nice green glowing knock.
Just,
and I was like, oh my goodness. That's not what I said. They're going to go ahead and say it. I said something
okay,
that I don't
let's be clear. Something.
I was a little upset, but I shot so far over that deer's back. I was like, I cannot believe I missed that deer that far.
You were a pastor, were you not?
I'm a retired pastor, yes.
Okay, I just asking.
So what happened? Was there buck fever?
I really don't know how I missed that bad, especially. I mean, because when you go back and look at the film, the deer didn't duck or anything until it was going over his back. That's when he dropped.
That's a Hoyt, baby. They don't hear it.
But I'm telling you, I missed him. If you can see this I missed him by that far over his back.
A good foot.
A good foot over his back. I was like, and I said to Chad, I can't believe I missed. But what happened was the deer loped off.
You know what though? I think I know why. Down home, what's the elevation?
Oh, 100 feet, 200 feet.
See, because it might have changed.
We're at like 900 feet.
So your mind didn't compensate for it.
Well, is that... And the barometric pressure was a little lower than I'm used to.
And the sun was glaring off the snow.
And your hair got in your eyes.
It was actually snowing a little bit. There was no sun. It was just a little sprinkling of snow coming down. I think I just freaking choked.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to say it. I think I choked.
That's what I did when I missed.
Welcome to the club.
I shot so far over that deer's back. But... I'm not defending myself. I'm saying I said to myself, this will be the biggest buck I've ever killed with my bow. And you never think that when you're in the scene.
Because you were thinking he's already on the wall.
No, I'm thinking this is going to be the biggest buck I've ever killed. Oh my gosh, come on. And my heart's just pounding. And
that's awesome.
I've
been fortunate enough to take a lot of deer in my life. I've been very fortunate with that. But every time when that heart gets to pumping, I think, this is why I do this.
Yes. Exactly.
But I'm like, big breath. Okay, now draw. Trying to get yourself calm down so you can hang that. And I go through this regime. Everybody has a regime, I think, that they do. So I always pull back and I make sure my peep sight is straight. I've always pulled my head back and look, it's straight. All right, I'm anchored good. My bubble's level. I'm right where I need to be. That's kind of what I go through in my mind. I don't know.
But yesterday you draw. Woo!
No, I actually was on first. I was actually because I had to lean just to fudge. Now that's not an excuse.
Oh my
But
gosh.
it made me slow down instead of rushing it. So I honestly think I peaked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That I was like,
you beeped it.
I was looking for this. I was looking for the hit instead of following through.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did.
And I shot that far. Oh gosh, it was just I was sick.
But it's okay.
But
It's all right.
There's
something
a
happened that never happens. Has never happened to me bow hunting before. Is he turned and loped off 45, 50 yards. So he's probably 70 yards away now.
We'll be right back with more Ralph and Vicki's Off-Grid podcast with your host, Pete Rogers.
I know the truth. This is a word I was
Welcome back to Ralph and Vicki's Off-Grid Podcast with your host, Pete Rogers. We're coming to you from the Hunter's Blend Coffee Studio. Now, let's get back into this week's show.
Trying to figure out what just happened.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I just hang my bow up. I'm like, dang it, I cannot believe I missed that deer.
Those are exact words he said.
I don't think dang it.
I know.
That's not what I said. But anyways,
okay.
But then Chad whispers, he's still there. I was like, I know. But I'm like, he's just going to rub it in is what he's doing.
He's giving you a whitetail.
Right then, I catch more movement to where he came from, and these 3 does are coming. So I reach back and grab my bow again. I get another arrow out. My quiver's hanging up over here, and I knock, and I said, well, I'll shoot one of them daggum does in, because now I'm mad.
Well, you were going to shoot at one of those.
I was going to shoot at one of the does.
Yeah, clarify that, would
because
you?
obviously I can't hear anything. So, but then the buck sees the does, and he trots over to them like with the head down, like he's going to scent check them.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's pretty late. But so he runs right over to them. So now they're at 38 yards, but they're behind a whole bunch of stuff. Well, the does start working towards us. And I said, oh, maybe he's going to follow him. So the mama doe, or the bigger doe, I don't know if she's mama or not, but the bigger doe comes and she gets right to that line. I think, well, he's now where she was, so I'm just going to pass on her and just hope.
Right.
Hope he comes
Something
by.
could happen.
Yeah, because I had her at 24 yards. I could have shot her at her.
Right, at her.
But so I'm going to wait and send the buck. Now, for clarity, when I watch these shows and I hear people say the last hour of the last day, I think, yeah, that's just BS. That's just to make the show good. But I'm telling you, this is my seventh
your
or eighth.
archery tag isn't good today.
This is my 7th or 8th day in the stand. And
last day.
My last day.
Your last half hour.
It's after 4 o'clock now, and I'm thinking, light's fading. Hopefully, this deer is going to come in. So the doe passes. I'd have to turn all the way around to my right because he's coming at a hard right angle, and he starts coming through.
What I told you when I dropped you off?
You did. Face the tree. You're going to have to face the tree to make that shot. And the buck came closer than the doe did. She went up the hill, and he came down low. So I'm sitting here ranging. I'm like, okay, range it. And he's still behind a bunch of brush. I look at my Range Rover Pro. I was like, okay, 25. I crank it to 25, and I range in front of him. And as soon as I hit it, it says 27. He steps into the viewfinder of my rangefinder. So I crank it up just a little bit, draw back. And when I draw back, he's looking at us in our direction.
Right.
And I let it go. That Hoyt Nitrix sent it. And now he did that, what do you call it, the drop?
Yeah, he dropped.
Okay.
He dropped to the
He dropped a little bit, so I hit him a little high, but it, caught the spine.
Put him right down.
You put him right down.
Put him right down. And I was so freaking excited. I said freaking, I don't know, 40 times on the camera.
I think so, maybe 42.
I was so excited. He went down, and I was like, yes, I can't believe it. And it put him right down. And man, I was so excited.
We were proud of you, buddy. It was
so
awesome.
excited. I'm still excited.
I'll tell you what else I've learned, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
Mm-hmm.
I do not. Once I get in a spot, I'll hit my rangefinder, and I'm not doing what you did.
No, I don't do that either.
I really don't. And I'll tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
Today's equipment is so efficient.
Mm-hmm.
If you put that pin at 25 yards,
mm-hmm.
and you hold center at probably 33 to 34 yards,
Probably so.
Or bring it to 18, you know what I mean? It's a dead deer.
Some of that is my first hunt with a single pin.
Right.
Yep. No. But
I have a 20, a 30, a 40, and a 50 marked on my Range Rover.
Yeah.
Okay. However, like where I was sitting last night, I'm either going to have a close shot or else, I can shoot far up there, okay?
Well, you saw that field.
In the snow with everything that's going on, I'm like, I don't want to shoot more than 30 yards. I just don't. The furthest point is actually 33 yards to that point where they come out on the other trail, on the other trail.
Set it at 30 and be done.
The thing is that, so I watch to see what they're doing, and I can range because it's a bean field. So I range a couple different plants that look different that I can still pick out all day long. If the sun is shining, it's hard to pick a shadow because the shadow is going to change. So I look for something particular, and I'll be like, there's my 20, there's my 30. If everything seems to be going in one direction, I'm going to put it to 25. I'd be done with it.
Yeah.
I don't mess with it.
Which is, again, I've always had multiple
Right, it's
pins.
your first time, right.
So I would say that's the 20-yard tree, that's the 30-yard bush.
Yep.
And then you gap them. You put it somewhere in the gap.
Yep.
But
and you can do that the same thing with
my first opportunity with a single pin.
But it rocks, don't it?
Oh, I love that.
Single pin, hold center, and kill them.
I love that thing.
So here's the thing. So
Or
I
shoot
get
at
home.
them on some occasion.
Yeah, and shoot at and miss by a
shoot
foot.
at-
Get in there, buddy, and I'm going to be there again.
I
I'm going
missed
to be
him by
there
a
again.
foot.
So I got home. I drove home after we got out of the stand. Andrew and I, we got back from our hunt. And Ralph was out in the driveway, and Ben, who had shot a buck last night as well.
Ben shot a buck too last night.
Yeah, he did.
So I pull in, and Ralph's like, well, I'm like, no. I said, it's just a bunch of yearlings. I said, I didn't get anything. He's like, well, he goes, well, he got a 10 point. And I looked at Ben, I go, Ben, you got a 10? And Ralph goes, no, not Ben. Ben shot a deer, but Pete. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, Pete got it. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, well, we got to go get him. And he's like, yeah. I go, okay, let me just run in the house real quick and use the restroom. Let me take off my tree stand harness. Let me get all this, let me get my system off and everything. And then we were all excited. I mean, we're like, let's go.
This is a team effort, and it's that's what we love about
what it is.
It was, and that's the first time that I've had a hunt filmed.
Okay.
So it's really cool to go back and look at the footage.
Oh yeah, isn't it?
And see the deer moving, and because in your mind you replay all these things.
Oh, yeah.
But then the camera confirms or
doesn't
remembers the miss in detail.
It gets the good and the bad for you.
It gets the good and the bad.
That's all right. That's all right.
And the tongue slippage, and it gets all that. But
smiles.
It gets that too. But it's really cool from the hunter's perspective, having never done it, to actually see how far the deer drops.
Yeah.
On your shot, not on somebody else's.
Amazing.
Yep.
But he dropped a full body width.
Amazing.
I mean,
And do you realize
really amazing?
You're
to see
talking
that.
about let's just say an average hunting setup.
Yep.
260 to 300 feet per second.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm shooting at 281 right now.
There
with
you
my
go.
setup.
So where
at
you're
27 yards.
they have the ability to drop and turn away from that noise.
It was amazing to see it. And I'm using the quick fletch, the quick spin.
Yep.
So it's a little bit, but I mean,
It's crazy.
When you see the glowing knock where the deer was standing, it was going center heart. And I caught him high in the spine. I mean, that's a quick drop at 27
But you know what's
yards.
crazy is maybe he dropped because he knew you were shooting at him again. The first time you said he didn't drop and you missed him.
He didn't drop till it was going over his back.
Right.
And I missed him by a foot. I'm surprised he even heard it. I missed him so far. I'm
If he
surprised
would have been a
even heard
team player, he would have jumped up.
it. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean,
But I tell you what, God was good, and
Amen.
that deer came back around, and I was so thankful.
He was meant to be yours.
I am so thankful for thankful for that deer.
And I think
It's a 10.8. Well, the one brow time's broken off,
Right,
so
but
it's a 9.
who cares?
technically,
Yeah.
Who
but-
cares? You know what I mean? And I think on closing, I think one of the things we'd like everybody to realize, and that is your day will come.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And you could have the worst day of your life. And when God says, hey, today's your day, it's your day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, look
It
at
was
what
good.
happened.
It was great.
It
And
was
it-
awesome to share that with you, buddy.
And,
Yeah, it
thank
was.
you. And I want to thank you all a lot for letting me hunt Vicky's stand.
Yeah.
It's okay. I just watched the buttons run around.
That's all right. That's all right. That I was hoping that gnarly buck would come out because I want to see him
So
up
was
close.
I. I want to get my
see
hands
him
on
up
him.
close.
I
Yeah.
think she's going to have her Browning.
Yeah, I'm taking my shotgun out this
But
afternoon.
I want to say to anybody who's from South, like I am, who never has a chance to hunt in the snow, if you get a chance to hunt in the snow, it is so different that,
Yeah.
I mean, not only is it pretty, but the way snow absorbs sound,
Oh, it just.
Yep.
and you see a deer running through the woods at 15 feet and you can't hear a thing. You just see that beautiful, and the way their hair is just...
It gets fluffy.
It's fluffed
Everything-
up. It is. If you're an outdoorsman and you haven't had a chance to hunt, and here I've been hunting. This is my 40th season, and this is the first time I've had a chance to hunt deer in the snow. I'm like, why didn't I do this years ago?
So just
take the opportunity to do
Yes.
it.
And just so you know, I've hunted deer in snow a lot here. Okay. And the only deer I've ever shot in the snow was on Anacostia Island. I have never shot a deer here at home in the snow.
Really?
God, I didn't realize that. Really?
How about that?
I've shot a bunch.
Yeah.
No, it's me in Illinois.
I love. I know this sounds crazy, and everybody the rut. You give me late season.
I can tell you
In
now,
these
after doing this, even before I killed the buck, having hunted the day before in the snow
Just in
and
the
being
snow.
able to
It's
see
incredible.
it is so different. It is so fun.
I love to
It's
see
so
them.
peaceful. Yeah.
You
Just to
watch them, and there's times where they're breathing and the steam's coming out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And their whiskers are all frosted. I mean, the stuff that we see.
The big does that we did see last night that stayed out too far for us, they come out of our timber at like 66 yards. Ralph's like, you seen anything? I'm like, yeah, they're too far, but not tomorrow. I'm like, but not
Let
tomorrow.
my
It's
brownie
shotgun
do what it
season.
does.
I'm
Reach
like,
out
in
and
shotgun
touch.
season, I can do that. But they came out of the timber and they stuck their heads into the snow, where you just saw ears sticking
That's
up,
right.
and then they look up and
their whole face
is covered in snow.
I
And
saw
I'm like,
that,
that is so cool.
That is so cool. It is. I saw
Yeah.
that the day before, and that
Yeah.
all the deer, their head would just disappear.
Yeah, I mean, you're
And when they
talking
came
12,
up-
14 inches of snow out
I
there.
know it.
Yeah.
I know.
And here's something else. So everybody, our listeners and viewers can. A lot of people want to hunt the Midwest. You know what I mean? And they all will go and, contact an outfitter or get a lease or something, and they focus just on the rut, the pre-rut, the post-rut, or the rut. Understand something. That's where prime dollars are spent for those hunts, too.
They are.
A lot of outfitters.
The rates go up for the hunt as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. For that
A lot of outfitters in here, in the Midwest and that, and up north, depending on your seasons, they literally discount their late season hunts because they can't get people to come hunt.
Now, by late season, you mean December through January?
Yes, sir.
Usually after shotguns. In Illinois, it's usually after shotgun season.
Is this
or
the
muzzleloader.
last? Is this the last shotgun season?
Yeah, this weekend is shotgun season. Next weekend is muzzleloader season. Okay, but you can still bow hunt with your archery tag during muzzleloader
So that's
season
the
here.
so that people don't know. So it's a 3-day shotgun season. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Your first season in Illinois is a 3-day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Okay.
Your second season,
Which
which
is
starts
now.
today, is a Thursday through Sunday.
So it's a
So it's
4-day.
a 4-day. Okay.
And then
you
next
have-
weekend's a 3-day
So
again.
you
I believe
can't
it's
hunt on
muzzleloader.
Sunday in
Better
Illinois.
check.
Yes, you can't
Yes,
hunt
Some
on Sundays.
states you can't.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess what we're saying is if you're thinking about it, and maybe you can't afford that rut hunt because they are charging you a premium.
Right.
Please talk to them. See if they do food sources, if they do food plots, and get an opportunity at a very affordable price to go on a late season hunt
'Cause I'm
because
gonna tell
you
you,
saw it. It's crazy.
And that's what I'm going to say. As somebody who has no dog in this fight, as the
Yep.
saying is at home.
And we're not outfitters either.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, so
Right,
yeah.
right.
Exactly. But I'm going to tell you, the stuff that I saw on TV versus seeing in real life are pretty accurate when I hear people talk about the deer pour into the bean fields in late season.
Yeah.
I mean, yesterday in the soybean field, it's an unharvested soybean field.
Right. But
So that
also,
people
so we have our brassicas and our turnips and our radishes planted on the exterior.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because I've always believed that we want to give them the palate. We want
A
to give them
buffet.
Variety.
a buffet.
We give them a
A
buffet.
variety of things, yes. But those, I mean, we had at one time yesterday, or day before yesterday in the soybean field, the food plot, because you had
Right.
brassicas around
Right.
the edge. There was 22 deer in the field at one time, and then some filtered out and more came in. And Andrew and I lost count in the 70s as far as number of deer that we had seen. And there was, I think we saw 8 bucks of all different sizes. But there was a ton of deer. And at home, you can go a whole season and not see 70 deer. You know what I'm saying? You can go a whole season and not see 30 deer. But to be able to see that many at one time is really, really nice.
Late season.
Yeah.
Give me late season.
Give me late season.
And I'm going to tell you what else. The majority of the woods are so quiet. When I say that is, most people have hunted, they fill their tags or they're done. You know what I mean? Their wife's allotment time to hunt, is cut off or whatever it is.
Or the husband decides the wife can't go out and hunt anymore.
Yeah. I mean,
come on, let's go back. Yeah.
And it's colder. Most of your conditions are a little more extreme.
Yeah.
But if you dress for it, if you have the proper equipment, and something else I want, as you start to experience this, and you start seeing the more clothes you get on, the wear you put on, the bulkier everything becomes. Also, it is a good practice to possibly think about shortening your draw length on your bow setups.
This might be a good podcast.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
so
We should, yeah.
okay, well, we'll go into that later.
Yeah.
We'll do a cold weather.
A cold weather.
weather podcast. Yeah.
But definitely there are some tricks that I've learned, doing it all this time.
Well, real quick with that yesterday, before I climbed the tree, I changed the order of my clothes because I was so bulky.
Right.
And I made sure that my harness was on the outside that compressed things. And I actually tightened it up
You have to.
so that it would
So it's
compress.
flatter for you.
Yeah. So but
hey, buddy,
it was a great hunt.
congratulations.
And thank you. It was a great hunt. I'm super excited.
You should be.
And I can't wait to see what
Wait
it's
till
going
you
to look
take
like
this
on the
venison
wall.
home. Buddy, soybean, corn, brassicas, turnips,
It's going to be different
radishes,
than what your South Carolina
acorns.
Yeah, because that's all we have is acorn deer at home.
Yeah.
Where I hunt it is. It's just acorn
You're gonna
browse.
love it.
So I'm
Then you're
excited
gonna,
about it.
it'll be ugly. You'll be begging to come back. Huh,
Yeah,
Vic?
I know,
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh,
Please,
we'll have to put up with. I don't know though. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. What do you think?
Oh, it squeaked. Oh, this was in my way. Oh.
You know.
Love you, brother. Love you.
Yeah, it feels like it. It feels like it. Yeah, I feel like I got knives sticking all in my back over here. But it was a lot of fun, and I'm just still excited. I couldn't hardly go to sleep last night. I kept replaying everything through my mind, and
That's awesome.
And that's why I do what I do.
Yep.
That's why I hunt. That's why I take my kids hunting, hoping that they'll experience it as well, and they have. So, that's how this season's been so far for Ralph and Vicki and for Pete, and it's been a good year here in Illinois,
And it ain't over.
and it's not over.
Nope.
And it's not over. Because like you said, just for people listening, your season goes through January.
Yep.
15th. Normally the 15th, I think.
Yeah.
January 15th. At home,
Around.
mine closes January 1st. On that, I want to say that my kids, 3 of the 4 that hunt have been able to take deer this year.
Awesome.
And they're all excited about that. So we just got, Dinah has to get hers. She's passed on deer because she wants to kill one bigger than her sisters. So
No competition in the rock.
no family competition at all. So we're going to get her out as soon as I get home and
Awesome.
see if she
Good
can get one. So that's going to wrap up this edition of Off Grid with Ralph and Vicki. I'm your host, Pete Rogers. Again, if you haven't subscribed to us, please do.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. We hope you come back again for more Ralph and Vicki's Off Grid podcast with your host, Pete Rogers.